Hey everybody, Brian Von Vier here. Got a very fun question for everybody. What's the silliest thing that a DM has said no to in your campaign? As a DM, I mostly prefer to just ask, "Are you sure you want to do that?" in a very special tone, when they're about to do something outright stupid. But they mostly prefer to ignore those questions, as it were. First game of D&D in my life, and I was just told to create a character on D&D Beyond without any explanation of the rules or the game in general. Can I play a rogue? No, we already have one. It was them. They had a DMPC rogue at a table of 6 players. I was playing a halfling. The player playing the wizard wanted to make my character boots of elven kind. My only objection was that they were shoes, and as a halfling, my character would not want to wear shoes. But I proposed, what if they were like leg braces? The amount of convincing I had to do with my DM just for the flavor of bare feet was incredible. At the time, I had been playing D&D and other RPGs with the guy for over 20 years, and he was adamant that I was trying to keep my foot slot 3.5 Pathfinder free for another item. No, I said, this item would absolutely take up my foot slot. Again, as a halfling, I would have the same objection about any shoe item, so I will not be double dipping like that. Eventually he caved in, but it took months of both myself and the other player trying to sway him. What a weird thing to fixate on for like 3 or 4 months. We had a session, but I, the DM, had a night out prior and was pretty tired from it. I said to them, guys, I'm kinda beat, so the RP part won't be that great today. One of my players finally got home. He woke up in his bed and I said that his wife was there. He smiled at me and said, "Good morning, darling." I just went, "She says hi to you." He was like, "No, RP it." I looked him dead in the eyes and said, "Not today, my dude." I usually do that, "Don't tell me, RP it." And in that session, he Uno reversed it. Our artificer asked if they could invent Crocs. The DM went silent for about 5 seconds and then responded in a joking tone, "If you throw a rubber brick through my gothic noir stained glass window, I will fight you in real life." On the cantrip, create bonfire, it says that you can't set fire to objects that are worn or carried. I cast it on a cart that was being pulled by horses, or something along those lines, I don't really remember. The DM said that the wagon was being carried. We still give him shit for that one. Well, if the wagon's being carried, then those horses are even stronger than I thought. A band of 4 brand new players with a DM who claimed to have DM'd for 3 or 4 years. We were all co-workers. The only girl in the group, who was also the most timid, chose to play her elven ranger with only a single sword for combat. The DM straight up said, "No, you're an elf and a ranger. You have a bow. You're going to use it." She shut down for the rest of the night and never tried to play again. It still irks me 3 years later. The DM wouldn't let me look behind me because I was too focused on the battle in front of me, and therefore couldn't turn to look at the enemies running up the road since they hadn't made any noise. I think this is supposed to be the point of surprises and perception rolls. The silliest thing I've had a DM say no to was a melee-focused artificer who wanted to take the magic engine, this was an Eberron game mind you, out of what was essentially a teeny tiny magical tugboat that floated above the water and turn it into a hovering motorcycle from which she could charge her enemies with a lance. That's really cool. I also may or may not have mentioned adding backswept flamethrowers on the sides like exhaust pipes on top of a fuel dragster. I'm pretty sure that had an impact on the DM's decision too. I, for one, still think that would have been fucking rad. Alas, the DM said it doesn't really fit the tone to have a Mad Max mad scientist lancing people from the back of a flaming iron horse. That sounds so frickin' cool. However, she was very much going for a sort of neo-noir tone, and well, okay, fine, Miss Fun Police. I kid, she's a rad DM, and she was totally right to say no to that in the circumstance, and for that reason. I wanted to swap the exterior color of the dome for Tiny Hut to something similar to a rainbow to entertain the children of some refugees who are escaping a war. No mechanical advantage, no pulling a fast one, just lighthearted flavor. The one that pops into my head is whenever we try to add something that exists in real life and make it canon in the campaign world. For example, one PC tried to make Fruity Pebbles canon, but the DM outright said, no. And it resulted in another PC simply putting a lemon in a bowl of milk as his fruit cereal. No! He physically can't eat. He's a skeleton, so him doing that was funny. In one of the campaigns I'm in, 2 active campaigns at the moment, funny enough, it's the same campaign where the cereal incident occurred. The DM suggests better ideas for us if we're truly stuck or making a hasty decision. For instance, one player is rather new and gets confused about what actions he can do, so the DM sometimes has to remind him of a better way to achieve what the PC wants. I like that and respect that. I know there have been more and funnier moments where DMs in my group simply said no, but these are the only detailed things I can recall. I've got a couple. No, you cannot have a mommy-dommy demoness as a lover and your contract. Hindsight 2020, I should have rolled with it. Yeah, you should have. That would have been fun. You cannot use the peasant railgun because it's unreasonable, and there's no way to pass an object between 900 people in that town to sling a rock at a dragon going Mach 10. You cannot have a character starting at level 1 of all 12 classes. Alternatively, you cannot play 1/12 of every class. We all read that webcomic. You cannot goblin me. You can't use 2 immovable rods in tandem to climb and make imaginary bridges and ladders just because you've been watching American Ninja Warrior. Okay, the dragon owns you now. No, I sleep with the dragon. I'm going to leave the cave. Okay, first off, your ribs and most of your bones are broken badly enough that she was casting healing spells and fire resistance just so her toy wasn't ruined on day 1. Secondly, you offered yourself to one of the greediest species in Dungeons & Dragons. Congratulations! It hoards a mountain of gold. Do you really think she's just going to let you go? You're hers now. Good luck escaping. If I were you, I'd start that new character sheet. You're level 7. You can't even teleport yet. And by the way, it was a wizard for once, not a bard. That's actually kind of surprising. A player wanted to enchant and manufacture enchantable arrows that, upon contact, would immediately collapse into the other bag arrow tip, causing a miniature black hole. There was an actual diagram that absolutely worked. I let him do it once and threw a CR-27 creature at a level 9 party of 3, and he just straight up deleted the creature that was making them flee in a horror section of a very long campaign. Now, this campaign involved a spider at one point laying eggs in a sleeping party member's chest, think coconut spider large, and docking his maximum HP until he died one day, bursting baby spiders like the scene from Alien out of his chest. Yeah, I'm not gonna sleep tonight, thanks. The druid revived him after the group was spider-free, only for it to happen again. This time they cooked him, and partially ate him out of starvation, then revived him. What, just turn into the Donner Party for spiders? Ew. My DM said no to my character. A druid with proficiency in Arcana, teaching a wizard how to cast Absorb Elements, while the artificer in the group, who does not have a proficiency with Arcana, could teach the wizard that spell. The reasoning here is that druids cast spells so differently from intelligence-based casters that it would be impossible. Now, I can understand that reasoning, but there was a lot of emphasis on different spells being split into different types of magic, which were basically arbitrary categories thought up by the DM, rather than being based on class, stat, or school of magic. After pointing out that the optional spell scroll creation rules in Xanathars, and how I was hoping to be able to create spell scrolls for people in the future using the Arcana proficiency, and some time and gold, and how those rules don't prohibit, restrict, or even mention anything along the lines of the non-rules-as-written spell categorizations they came up with, I eventually persuaded the DM to let my character assist in the teaching. So it was a good outcome in the end, and I think we were all pretty happy. But the initial no, combined with the spell categories the DM seemingly determined actually existed in 5th edition rules, threw me a little. As a DM myself, it also prompted me to reread a bunch of rules because I want to avoid assuming things that are in the rules like that, and then having players feel frustrated. In our campaign, Produce Flame is basically Firebolt, and when I wanted to use it in close combat, the DM told me to roll with disadvantage because it's a ranged spell. I read the description and told them, it says it's a spell with a range of self, but they didn't budge, and I didn't want to argue. So Produce Flame became Firebolt, with less range and damage. 5th edition! Being able to use Wizard and Warlock spell slots to cast Wizard and Warlock spells interchangeably. So, using a 1st level Wizard spell slot to cast a Warlock spell at level 1, or using a level 3 Pact spell slot to upcast a Wizard spell at level 3. Rules as written, it's allowed, but for some reason his understanding of Raw meant it wasn't allowed. Even D&D Beyond allows it, and so does Foundry VTT, and we are using both to play the game. Now, even after pointing out the paragraph in the player's handbook about multi-classing and pact magic that specifically says spell slots are interchangeable with spells from any class spell list, we eventually agreed that I could use a level 1 wizard slot to cast a warlock spell at level 1. But if I used a level 3 warlock pact slot to try and upcast a wizard spell, it would still only cast as a level 1. DM, you need to read the rules! Our DM set up a really cool situation all by accident. Someone who looked just like me with a few minor changes was dead on the floor. I asked our mage to use Wish to cast the resurrection spell. At first I thought this was in real life. The DM spent a few minutes deliberating and decided that the soul wasn't willing to return to the body. I asked the DM if that was me, and he confirmed that it was. I told him I would want to return if given the chance, and I was willing to roleplay 2 versions of myself. It would have been both silly and awesome. I wouldn't have used her in combat, in fact. I probably would have returned her to my nightclub in Waterdeep. It still bothers me a little for a couple of reasons. It would have been cool as fuck, and I asked a fellow player to use his high-level spell slot for that day. The DM is still great though. Hey everybody, Brian Von VA checking in after the vid. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, ring that bell, and let us know in the comments below what's the silliest thing a DM has said no to. Also, if you want early access to videos or some outtakes, which there's plenty of those, make sure to drop a membership on us. You can keep the lights on by doing so, but you don't have to. We love you all. See you next time. Toodaloo for now.